Ash, why don't you and I say hi to Dennis?
Hi, Dennis.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi. Hi, guys. I'm very well, thank you. What's yourself?
We're excited for the presentation and really excited you can really get this whole ball rolling for us.
Oh, no, it's an honor. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we'll give you the floor unless, Ash, you have any questions.
Nope. I'm now going to go and sit down in the audience and watch the presentation.
We're going to go join the
Okay, well,
audience. Dennis, the floor is yours.
thank you. Well, it's an interesting times when everything is virtual, including the stage floor. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I would like to speak about the XR production for esports events and slightly in general, but also from our personal and team's experience. Just a little bit of background. So I've been working in this, what I call a multimedia industry for over 12 years now, working with international brands and companies across the world. And I personally act as a show director or experiential director, and also content producer, because almost 95% of our works include some content production. And it was very interesting to see how this has shifted this year, with the major shift happening from pre-rendering everything to real-time rendering. And I want to start with the project that actually really helped us to do this transition this year. So about a year ago, and actually when I was preparing the deck today, I found out that exactly a year ago we had our final rehearsals for this project, because it went live on the 5th, and it was the first big championship for Riot Games with League of Legends Nexus Arabia tournament held in Middle East. And it happened in Riyadh in Saudi Arabia. This was our first experience working with a gaming company and also with esports tournaments. And a big shout out to my friend Sedat Gündüz from Istanbul, who was the production director on this one and introduced me to the agency, Hemo, who were our partners in this project. And we were responsible for the trophy presentation ceremony. It's not technically an opening ceremony, but rather, something happening between the games. And this is how we started our venture with esports. I would like to share for a few things that we've learned from this experience that actually became really important later when we started doing esports events with virtual production and XR workflows. So the first thing that we've learned, and our previous experience, as I said, as a team, was primarily working with large brands and marketing departments, and those include all sorts of automotive brands and IT corporations such as Bentley, BMW, Microsoft, Amazon, and etc. So the first thing that we've learned when we met Riot Games team is that we are not really working with a brand, rather we are working with the universe, and it's very deep. It's actually much bigger than you would imagine. Just learning that there are tons of people in the world every day connecting to League of Legends servers and playing there, and this is the first thing that we learned, and really carefully tried to bring it through the whole project and the whole process, because instead of the guidelines or the visual guidelines or the brand guidelines, we are rather working with, if you will, laws or the rules of how this fictional world works, and being very, so to say, appreciative to this world. Actually, I think from my personal experience, really sets you and the content team for success, and also everyone surrounding the content team as well, and supporting them with providing technology that wouldn't be an additional obstacle or a limitation to your goals. So with that said, the deep research that we've had to provide and we had to do is critical and is absolutely essential, because there are so many things that you should learn before even coming up with ideas or the story for the performance or for the stage or for the virtual stage, as I will say shortly, is absolutely important. And there are many resources for that with different titles. There are wiki pages that are constantly being updated by the communities. There are fandoms where you can also, connect, plug in, and ask questions about your ideas or particular questions about the champions. And this is the term that we've also learned from this experience, that the heroes or the characters in the game are champions, that they're not characters or heroes. And of course, the community with gaming community, with esports community in general, but also League of Legends community is absolutely amazing. And it was really interesting just to get to know those people and to be working with some of them, because our ambition is actually to erase the barrier between the audience and the event, whatever the format of the event would be. Would it be an offline festival or an online broadcast for the tournament? We don't want to build any walls, and we want our audience, who are essentially the players, to believe in what they see, because only with that we were able to come up with what I think are some good ideas that really worked well, such as hanging champions who were casted by professional dancers and performers from all over the world, hangs from the top of the screen and literally walking on the huge virtual map of the League of Legends game, the Summoner's Rift, and everyone just went crazy when they saw that transition from something physical to phygital, as we call it, the blend between physical world and the digital one. And also what we did when we were developing the story, it actually looked like like we were working on a startup idea, because we were constantly pitching all our stages and all our phases of the project to the gaming community and essentially testing it with them. So almost like we did an MVP and tried to get some customer development per se, to get to know if we are on the right track or we need to change something. And it was actually very important for us, because after talking to about 10 active players, including some of those who are part of Riot Games team, we were able to bring in some details that I think really set us for success with this show and later on with the virtual production project that we did. And those details, I'll give you one particular example. We've learned that in Middle East, Yasuo is one of the favorite champions amongst the community, though League of Legends has over 200 champions, but this one is really the favorite. And just the way that the community treats him, everyone makes love of him. Well, we've just realized that he has to be part of our story. And also what we did about the same time of the year was our first project, our first commercial production that we did with Unreal technology. And it wasn't, let's say, mandatory, because there were no XR or anything. It was rather a simple screen, but we've just decided to try our CG team doing this whole thing with Unreal Engine. Well, and also, to be honest, because we had only about, I think it was 16 days for the whole production for a 3-minute video. And it was actually impressive for me as a content producer to see the project, happening literally in real time. Because usually when you produce the content with the regular techniques, for 90% of the time you see, something that, you really have to explain to the client that, calm down, it's going to look amazing, it's not going to be gray and clay, there are going to be reflections and shadows and such. And here, from the first pre-visualization and animatics, we've started to receive the image with, the full beauty that is going to look amazing at the end, even better. So this experience was really helpful later on in 2020, though we didn't know yet back then. We thought it's just a nice experiment, but turned out to be working in our favor in different sense. So the 2020 started for us with another invitation from Riot Games in China. So this is also my picture from the end of January when I was visiting Shanghai. This was, I think, the last long flight that I took this year, where we pitched for the Worlds that recently happened in Shanghai as well. And I'm excited to hear the presentation about how this, turned out to be an amazing XR stage and production. But yeah, at the end of January, though, something was happening in another part of China. As you can see here, people were still not wearing masks, and it looks like a normal world. So, and we pitched, a big stage for the stadium for the finals, and also a few extra versions of the stage for the pre-final games. And as you all know, that didn't happen. And this is about when we had to switch our pipelines and techniques to virtual production. We started working on Turkish Grand Finals that were supposed to be held in September of 2020. And though originally, actually about the same time when we went to Shanghai, we were invited again by Heymo agency and Riot Games from Istanbul to conceptualize the offline version of the tournament, and we had some ideas that we've exchanged and so on. But then the project was put on hold, I think, beginning of March, and only later on in July we altogether decided that it's going to happen, with virtual production techniques and workflows. And the theme for the event, with the support of Riot Games team, was to be Demacia, and Demacia is one of the world's, one of those fictional universes that the League of Legends world has. And when you start digging into that, sometimes it's very, you ask such questions as, okay, how does Demacia look like? What is the map of this world? Well, there is no map. There is no per se. How to say, the physical or the virtual representation of this world in the game itself. It's actually just the fictional world that the team is creating around some of the champions. And you can read books, you can watch videos, you can listen to the music that was specifically crafted to fulfill this whole universe. So again, we had to do a lot of research and to learn a lot about Demacia and how are we going to bring it to life, quote unquote, because this life is going to happen on the screen in the form of virtual studio. And again, as with any project that we are working on, I believe that the story is critical, the story is important. So here we go again, research, a lot of research. And I will speak briefly about the technical parameters of the project later on, but our first let's say, goal was to create the virtual arena that the players are going to be in during the game, during the tournament. And this was our first version. And actually, we thought we did an amazing job, and it's still a concept. It's not a real-time render from Unreal yet. But we thought, well, we've noticed that there are a lot of birds and wings in this world that you can see on the concept arts. And we thought, well, there you go. You have a huge bird. It looks great. We like it. And then we got some feedback, and we fixed it. But then we did another set of research, and it was actually the moment when my team hated me, because I said, hey guys, I found this thing. I really don't like the bird, because I think it's more like a penguin, and the whole Demacia greatness is not really being supported by a small penguin sitting behind the players. And look what I found. This is a silver wing raptor, and then I can speak for like 10 minutes. What is it? How it works in the universe, and what is this role? So fast forward to 2 weeks of frustration, my team being frustrated with me, giving another set of changes. Actually, client asking also like, well, we thought it was great, but we trust you. So if you think you can do better, then go for it. So, and yeah, fast forward to the final result. This was the virtual stage that we've created with, from my personal perspective, having a more greater still bird, but now you can call it officially the silver wing raptor. So this was one part, to create the virtual space for where the game was taking place. But also we decided to set up the tone at the very beginning of the broadcast by transitioning from Istanbul, where the physical arena is located, where we set up the green studio, and how do we transition from Istanbul to Dimasya. And we created this only pre-rendered piece for the whole thing of how the Raptor is flying across Bosphore, and these transitions literally to the Dimasya world that we've created with the countdown, and we sort of entering the fictional world that this is where this whole thing is going to happen. And again, we used more inspiration from Istanbul to create the opening act, which was actually technically a music video, also produced entirely with real-time techniques and workflows. So we took the inspiration from the very famous Basilica Cistern and created what we've called the Grand Hall Tombs, where the music video has happened with the very famous Turkish rapper Anil Piyanci singing his song, which I think, even though I don't know Turkish, I can now sing very well. I don't know if any Turkish people would understand that, but I think I'm doing a really nice job with that because I've had to hear this, I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 times. And this is how we've, transitioned from Riot Games Esports Arena, 2019 to the Dimasya Grand Hall, where there was no, physical audience, obviously, and also no virtual representation of the audience. But still, we had, 2 tables for 5 members of the team to fight against each other. And I will show very briefly just 1 minute teaser of the end result. And this is the moment when I also drink water. So at the end of this, I would just like to provide some sort of checklist for anyone who will be working with esports title for the game broadcast of the tournament, or with the XR and virtual production technologies. So the first thing that we've researched and worked very closely with the Turkish team at XRT Studios, who use zero density as a core of this system, was to understand the capabilities of technology. What are we using for the camera tracking, the real-time rendering, and also the lighting? I think personally that we didn't do a very great job in terms of the lighting and how this can help to actually, let's say, compose the physical speaker or the gamer into the virtual world. Because we also had some bugs like that when we, had some boundaries with the virtual stage that we've created. And I took some cool screenshots from my director's broadcast that I was remotely looking at during the production. The university research, I spoke a lot about that. It's really important to come up with something really meaningful that would allow users who are not actually users, who are gamers, to connect with this concept specifically for online experience. I personally think that we've succeeded with this one because we didn't try to come up with some, let's say, textures for the virtual studio, but rather we've created the full set, which could be technically built. So I think virtual architecture is really critical, and I think it's smart to actually do this in 360-degree mode, because then you can think, as a whole. Some details are very critical. This is just an example of a very tiny thing that appears during the live stream for the frame that introduce the player. Team is critical, specifically when you are working, remotely. And this is my partner in crime, Jiren, who is part of Hemo team that helped me remotely to actually direct this whole thing. And I drew some frames for her to position her better. And also support is important. And for me, the support meant the family, because actually the rehearsals for this particular project were happening exactly on my wife's birthday and also 2 days after our anniversary. So I'm really grateful for her support during this very interesting time, because this is actually how the remote productions backstage looks like. This is literally me sitting during her birthday and directing remotely the rehearsals and trying to look really closely what's going on the screen. But from my personal experience, remote production from director's experience also produces a lot of FOMO, because at 3 a.m. I was texting the team like, hey guys, please, I'm asking you to do another shot. I understand that you are very tired. And they were sending me back pictures, actually we're having a great time here. We are sitting here and there are people here, and it's not just you sitting in your underwear in the bedroom trying to, direct this thing remotely. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'm excited to, do something else with this technology, which we are currently using a lot on a number of projects.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
It's really, really wonderful to hear all that. Thank you so much, Denis.
Of course. Yeah, it's wonderful to share this as well, because I think that, we don't speak about this much. We don't share those stories in a regular way, on some gigs and rehearsals and such. Now it's more, well, sitting in front of the screen.
I don't see any questions coming in yet, but I have a couple myself. Ash, I don't know about you, but I think I'm really fascinated by that moment you were describing where you had to change that iconic image, and you have to go to the team, and how much work has been put into an idea, crafting your research involved in it, and then you're like, but it can be better. And I think that moment, I think we're all really familiar for that. I know that I tend to diminish that moment, that sometimes that making something better is a push or an energetic demand that I just don't feel like I can do at times. So do you want to talk about how you motivate a team to keep delivering when they've already gone above and beyond?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think what really helps me personally is also my own experience at my early years in this career as a designer. So I really understand what it takes actually, to do something. So I think that I'm being, let's say, thoughtful and realistic. So if this, I wouldn't even know how to call it. I don't know, my blessing that I've found this silver wing thing happened even like 3 days later on, I probably wouldn't bother, because I would understand that this would actually be very risky for a project. Back then it was, I thought that it was possible. So with me trying to motivate the team at the moment, well, this is the thing what I've learned about all designers and people who are passionate about what they do. For them, it's not just about checking the boxes. I did this and I did that and I delivered in time and so on. They all actually share the passion about the end result, and they want it to be better, and they want it to be, well, not necessarily best in class, because obviously there are many obstacles in every particular project, and you can easily judge from, let's say, the audience perspective. I would do this better, but you don't know all the environment. So when I said, hey guys, this is a great penguin, but this can be better, and I think we have time, and I want you to sleep on it and think of how this would be possible. They actually came back to me and said, yeah, you're totally right, and let's get this rolling. So and I really appreciate them for doing this, because I think at the end, yeah, everyone realized that it was for the better.
I think we have an attendee question. Chris, let's bring that up. We have Gem Design from Texas asking about other tools your team uses besides Unreal.
Yeah, sure. So well, I wouldn't speak about, let's say, regular production softwares and techniques, but we are using as well Notch, and we haven't used Unity, I think, at all for any source of content production. We have used Unity for some interactive installations, including some of those that are working in Microsoft Redmond's office. But again, this was not for the real-time rendering. So from the virtual production perspective, those are Unreal and Notch at the moment. And in terms of the hardware, it's these guys, apparently. And we don't have yet an access to zero density in our office in Moscow, but we've used that for this particular project with our partner XRT that I mentioned.
Ash, how about you? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I mean, I'm first of all, congratulations. The work looked really amazing. I'm interested in your opinion of what you think is coming next. What sort of demands you see your customers coming to you with over the next couple of years, and in particular, I'm interested in your opinion on the relationship between green screen and mixed reality, where you've got LED screens or projection screens in camera shot. There's quite a lot of conversation about when is it necessary to have, when is it fine to have green screen, and when is it necessary to do MR, the LED backdrops, because obviously they're a lot more expensive, they're more difficult to deal with. So I was wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I think that my personal perspective on those two technologies and techniques, green screen versus mixed reality, is I think it's not versus, it's rather and. I think that they would live, let's say, complementary with each other. And I'm not talking, in any, let's say, physical representational form, meaning that, if you say you have your own studio that provides virtual production techniques and workflows, you should have, or you must have both. But I think, there would be cases when the green screen is, the best solution, and there would be other cases where mixed reality with LED backdrop is the only solution for the ask. But I see also lots of those conversations at the moment. And I'm actually currently setting up the studio of such, I would be combining both techniques in one physical space. This is what I'm working on at the moment in Moscow, because there is no yet an independent space. Of course, there are many studios or production houses that offer now this as a service, and have acquired some of the technologies, such as someone purchased tracking systems, some others invested into Unreal production teams, but there is no yet space that can just provide the space and the technology for others to use it for the video production or event production projects. In terms of the next step, I think you would be better than me to answer that, and I believe that you are working on a lot of cool things, these guys. But I see that there would be even closer merge and welding, so to say, between all the gaming technologies such as Unreal or Unity with multimedia and AV production tools such as screens and media service and so on. I'm personally interested in photogrammetry and how this can be the next step also to bring in the virtual production to make it look more realistic. So I think it would be some crazy combinations of all those worlds and different technologies into something that would basically, essentially, make the whole concept of mixed reality or extended reality more accessible for the clients, because I think this is our shared community goal. We are a bunch of engineers or creators here, but at the end, we are serving our clients and helping them with their goals and ambitions. So I think less boundaries we set and more opportunities we give, it's more, at the end, beneficial for the customer.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, the customer is always an interesting person, because they don't know what is possible and what is not. And it's actually when they ask you for something that's not possible, that's when my ears prick up a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay. If they want something that's crazy, like, okay, we can't do it this year, but maybe we could do it this year, so next year rather. And that's where all innovation comes from, is being frustrated that you can't do the thing that your customer wants, and thinking,
That's
well,
true.
how could we?
And I think that's a great place where I'm going to wrap you two up, because I like leaving it on the cliffhanger of the possibility of
Sure.
what the client wants to throw at us. Denis, thank you so much. This is a really wonderful presentation, and I'm so grateful to have you part.
Yes, thanks, you.
Dennis.
Thank you, Laura and Ash. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we'll send Denis on his way and get ready for our next presenter.